Welcome to this informational presentation about the Regional Transportation Authority's Access to Transit Program 2022 Call for Projects. The RTA began this program in 2012 to help address the lack of a funding source for implementing recommendations from corridor and TOD plans completed through the RTA's Community Planning Program. Providing facilities for pedestrians and cyclists is a key goal for nearly all of the planning projects we work on, and in addition to supporting transit ridership and TOD, these kinds of small-scale capital projects can provide several other benefits, such as safer streets, less congestion, lower demand for parking, and better first and last mile connections for transit riders. To date, the 5 rounds of the Biennial Access to Transit program has funded projects in 37 communities and leveraged $22.5 million in federal, local, and RTA funds to make infrastructure improvements. Projects funded through the program must be directly related to improving access to a specific CTA, Metra, or PACE service, must be within walking distance of transit, and they should be recommendations from a plan that's completed or underway. It's not necessary that the project be detailed in a plan, but applicants should show a logical connection between the plan and the project. The types of projects that are eligible for the program are those that improve pedestrian and cyclist accessibility to transit services, as well as transit passenger facilities. This includes bus and rail forming shelters, crosswalks and signal heads, sidewalk connections, covered bike parking at transit stations, ADA accessibility improvements, and bicycle infrastructure. The RTA will also consider other types of projects and facilities not listed here if the applicant can make a reasonable case that they will improve transit access and decrease the use of automobiles, but we recommend that you contact us first with an unconventional proposal. Through this Access to Transit program Call for Projects, applicants can now apply to 2 categories. Category A includes funding for the Phase 2 engineering and construction of eligible projects. For those who are familiar, this is the Federal Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality, or CMAQ, approach that has been offered in several previous calls. Applicants are responsible to complete Phase 1 engineering for projects in Category A. Continuing a pilot from the 2020 call, Category B is funding for Phase 1 engineering only. The project types are the same as Category A, but Category B is funding only for the first step of Phase 1 engineering. Once complete, the applicant would need to find funding for Phase 2 engineering and construction. Category B is targeted at improving access to transit in high-need communities, and only high-need municipalities are eligible to apply for Category B funding. We'll now provide more detail about both Categories A and B. Category A is designed to leverage RTA and local funds to apply for federal CMAQ program funds. In our region, the program is administered by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, or CMAP, and projects are selected by their CMAQ Selection Committee, which works in cooperation with CMAP staff. Funding for Category A projects is contingent on the RTA's application being accepted to the CMAQ program, which will be finalized in the fall of 2023. Although we've had past success at obtaining CMAQ funding for this program, it is important to keep in mind that our CMAQ application will be one among many, as it is a very competitive program. Applicants seeking Category A funding should remain aware that CMAQ prioritizes new facilities over replacement facilities. Using sidewalk projects as an example, applicants should not propose to replace existing sidewalks because they are uneven. However, applicants could apply for replacement sidewalks if existing facilities are so deteriorated they are unusable. The RTA focuses on small-scale infrastructure projects. Therefore, project budgets must be between $150,000 and $1 million to be eligible. If the RTA's federal funding application is awarded, the CMAQ program will provide 80% of the project funding. To assist with a 20% local match, the RTA will contribute half of that amount for most municipalities. However, in cases of municipalities with proven financial hardship, the RTA will contribute the entire 20% local match. Eligibility is determined according to the Community Cohort Evaluation tool developed by CMAP. If you're unsure whether your municipality qualifies, you can find more information on the CMAP website. Selected applicants must initiate Phase 1 engineering upon notification from the RTA of acceptance into the Access to Transit program. It is the applicant's responsibility to secure funding for Phase 1, and it must be complete by February 2023. The Phase 1 process is required for all projects to be eligible for CMAQ funding. Even if improvements are being built on a local roadway and within existing right-of-way, you must follow the Illinois Department of Transportation's engineering approval process as CMAQ funds flow through the state. Category B is funding for Phase 1 engineering expenses only, related to access improvements near transit in high-need communities. Eligible project budgets are between $5,000 and $55,000. Category B is a much quicker process. Once selected, applicants will enter into an agreement with the RTA for the expected cost of Phase 1 engineering. Applicants can either complete the engineering internally, requesting reimbursement for staff time, or procure an engineering firm to complete the work. It's important to note that Phase 1 funding comes entirely from the RTA and will not be included in the RTA's CMAQ application. Applicants can apply for Phase 2 engineering and construction funding in future calls. Category B is eligible to high-need communities only, as determined according to the Community Cohort Evaluation tool developed by CMAP. If you're unsure whether your municipality qualifies, you can find more information on the CMAP website. This year's call for projects opened on March 25 and will close on May 20. We offer a generous window of time for potential applicants to consider feasible projects and put together the information required in the application. This graphic shows the anticipated timeline for both Category A and Category B projects. Applicants applying under Category A should have the following documentation ready before starting the application. First, name of the plan making the recommendation for the proposed project. Listing the relevant page numbers is sufficient. There's no need to submit the entire planning document. Status of Phase 1 engineering. Estimate of project cost, including Phase 1 engineering and construction. A project location map and any concept plans. A statement of municipal support. This could come in the form of a letter from your mayor or an elected official. And demographic and transit data. Applicants applying under Category B should have the following documentation ready before starting the application. Name of the plan making the recommendation for the proposed project. Listing the relevant page numbers is sufficient. No need to submit the entire planning document. Engineer's estimate of cost to complete Phase 1 engineering. A project location map and any concept plans. A statement of municipality support. This could come in the form of a letter from your mayor or elected official. And information about which transit services will be benefited from the proposed improvement. Now that we've gone over the details of the program, we'd like to offer some guidance on how to choose a project as many municipalities may have multiple eligible projects to choose from. To go back to a point we previously mentioned under eligibility, we suggest you review recommendations from relevant planning documents, as they are often grounded in community feedback and data. Another important point to consider is the project's ability to positively affect transit ridership and replace automobile trips through walking and biking. These criteria are important to CMAQ scoring and something we heavily consider in our selection process. Projects that have the potential to improve high ridership transit services or impact areas with high population or employment densities are also favorable. You should also consider the readiness and feasibility of the project. Some applicants may have projects that have already completed Phase 1 engineering and are waiting to move into the design stage, or projects that have been discussed at length with the community but haven't yet received funding. These are also favorable because they have been already vetted to a certain extent. Finally, we ask that if your project is directly related to transit facilities like warming shelters, transit station bike parking, and any improvement that directly touch transit facilities, please discuss your application with the service boards, CTA, Metra, or PACE, prior to submitting it. They may have certain design requirements or overlapping plans already in place. Coordinating with them before you apply will save time in the long run and possibly help your chances of being selected. If you have local representatives that you usually work with at the service boards, we recommend you reach out to them first. But you can also contact us and we can put you in touch with the right person. If your project is selected to Access to Transit Category A and then awarded CMAQ funds, ownership of the project is transferred to you as the sponsoring municipality. Municipalities are expected to manage their project to completion according to the standards established by CMAP, IDOT, and the RTA. For both categories, municipalities will also enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the RTA to confirm the funding obligations and project management expectations. We request status updates from the sponsors on a quarterly basis, and we are available to help with questions and issues that may arise. While we are available to provide program guidance, overseeing engineering and construction progress is your responsibility. As the work of your project progresses, you will be responsible for the entire local share of the project cost by paying engineering and IDOT invoices. Once paid, you may seek reimbursement from the RTA. Invoices should be submitted in increments over the course of the project, either quarterly or at significant project milestones. For more information, including application materials, please visit our website. Once your application is complete, please compile all documents into a single PDF file and email to applications@rtachicago.org. Thank you for your interest in the RTA's Access to Transit program.